Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Netherwood TV on Friday the 16th of November. I'm Rosie Clarke and I'm head girl.
I'm Godfrey, head boy.
And in today's episode we will take a look at what we got up to on Remembrance Day.
We will also find out what our Year 11 students got up to during their careers drop-down day.
As well as looking at this week's recommended read.
And finally we will hear some general school news and reminders.
Sunday the 11th of November was Remembrance Day, marking 100 years since the end of the First World War.
As a school, we paid our respects in a number of ways. We had a 2-minute silence last Friday whilst Finley Spencer played the last post to the school.
On the Sunday, Ben and I laid a wreath at the Woolwell and Darfield services, and our Art and Technology department created a fantastic poppy display, which was on display at the Woolwell Community Centre.
Let's take a look at some images.
In May, a group of students went on a trip to visit the World War I battlefields in France and Belgium.
The students visited a number of sites including Tyncott, Wipers, the Canadian Memorial and the German Cemetery.
All students were extremely respectful and conducted themselves in a brilliant manner.
The students laid a wreath at Tyncott to mark the centenary of the end of the war and to pay our respects as a school.
Let's have a look at some of the images from the trip.
On Wednesday, visitors from Job Centre Plus and local training providers came into school to support our Year 11 students in CV workshops.
During this time, each student has been able to produce a basic CV to apply for future opportunities.
The school also ran a post-16 options fair on the day.
Representatives from sixth forms, colleges, universities and training providers were available for Year 11 students to ask questions and explore career pathways.
Here are some photographs of the event and comments from students on the day.
As I've been walking around, I've seen that Barnet College do a performing arts course. I would like to ask, what is it like at Barnet College for this course?
I suppose performing arts is quite a practical course. So for our students, they have different pathways, either musical theatre, acting or dance. You specialise in one of those areas and then you'll get the basics of the other two kind of areas. So it makes you an all-rounder performer. So that's kind of what they'll get. But obviously we have the zone theatre that will kind of put productions on as well.
I'm interested in media, so what facilities do you have for media?
I guess media is quite broad, so for us that includes things like games design, so we have our own game design studio. That could also be radio broadcast journalism, it could also be TV and film, so again it's TV studios, using all the cameras. We'll have some students that will go to university from those programmes and some that will go straight into work. Because again, some areas kind of need university, some depending on what jobs you're looking for, maybe you don't. So you have to kind of be industry trained so you're at that right standard, which the courses will do.
How important would you say an open evening like this is for the current Year 11?
It's great. I mean, it's a first touch onto meeting some of the providers, obviously Barnsley College, but others as well. It's a kind of really big thing for you to kind of go and ask questions and see what it's like. The next step from this would hopefully to kind of go and have a look at an open evening at those venues and see what it is like, because that can make a big difference. Obviously, for some college is a really big place, so some that's a plus and they want that. For us, they want the smaller setting that some of the other providers will kind of be able to offer. So it really is a big plus to kind of have this first and then go and get more in-depth conversations and details from the actual vendors themselves.
Thank you.
No worries, thanks.
It's time to hear from Mrs Moffat for the recommended read.
Hello there, I'm doing this week's recommended read of the week, and it is one of my all-time favourite books, and it links quite nicely to an assembly Mr Scott and myself did the other week about raising awareness about disability. It's called The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time by Mark Haddon, and we have copies of this lovely book available in English as well as in the library. It is written from the perspective of a 15-year-old boy called Christopher who is on the autistic spectrum. He has Asperger's, and as you know, my son is on the autistic spectrum, as are many people, but this is the first time I've ever read a book and I've felt like I completely understand what it is like to be on the autistic spectrum, because it is written totally from the point of view of Christopher. So we understand how Christopher feels, we understand what Christopher thinks. I could tell you more about it, but it's the kind of book that you actually have to read to fully understand. I would give it 10 megamoths out of 10 megamoths. It is fantastic. So get a copy, come and find me if you would like to borrow a copy. That would be absolutely fine. Thank you.
Now on to some reminders and general school news.
There are still some spaces on the theatre enrichment trip to see A Christmas Carol on Friday the 30th of November.
If you are wanting to go on the trip, please collect a letter from Miss Oates or Mr Utley on the top floor.
There are still stalls available at Netherwood's annual Christmas fair.
This year the fair will be on Wednesday the 5th of December from 5:30 p.m.
If you would like a stall, please email Mr Utley or Miss Oates using the email addresses below.
Tickets are still available for this year's panto Aladdin, which is on Wednesday the 12th and Thursday the 13th of December.
Tickets are available from prefects at break time from student services or from Mrs Oates and Mr Utley's office on the top floor.
The winter music celebration that is taking place on Wednesday the 28th of November at the Civic in Barnsley.
Tickets are priced £5 for adults and £3 for concessions and are available on the Civic website.
That's all for this week. Next week we will find out how much we have raised for children in need.
Thank you for watching Netherwood TV. See you next Friday at 8:25.